Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, this is a very, very special podcast. This one's for you, Grandma. Believe it or not, you guys, my grandma and I, on my mom's side, actually share the same birthday, and that happens to be today. So a little fun fact about Kiera Dent that maybe you didn't know is I was actually born on my maternal side, my grandma and my great-grandma's birthday. No joke, you guys. I'm not making this up. May 8th was the day my grandma and my great-grandma were all born, and also Tiffanie Trader. So it's kind of a magical day in my world. And the reason I'm making this podcast for my grandma, I think she's turning 85 or 86, you guys. I honestly don't know. My grandma's a rock star. But the reason why I wanted to make this podcast is she called me the other day and she said, you know, Kiera, remember that time I was at your house and you subscribed, you helped me subscribe to your podcast. She said, well, you know, every so often I actually get a notice that there is a new podcast that you're doing. And she said, and I listen to you. And I was shocked. And I thought, you guys, we have my grandma, who's an 86-year-old woman, listening to the podcast. So I don't know who all of you are out there listening to this podcast. And if you're telling me that your teams aren't wanting to listen, or that we don't have time, or that we can't do it, or things are too hard, I want you to remember that my grandma is listening to this podcast and taking notes on it. And so today I wanted to do a special podcast shout out to her, and just to tell her how much, one, I love her and appreciate her and the influence she's been in my life. And two, of course, you guys, I've got to wrap this into dentistry for you because it's the Dental A Team. So I'm going to help level you up. And I want to use my grandma as an example of how often do we think that we are too set in our ways, or that we have a team member who doesn't want to grow and expand with us. And the reality is none of us are too young, or too old, too young to not work on growing and pivoting. And no matter what age or stage or phase we are in life, we can always be growing and expanding together. And so I wanted you guys to think about your practices. What areas are you telling yourself that you are too set in your ways, or, you know, our patient base just won't like that? I think about my grandma, and I think about the fact that she is 85. We'll say she's 85, but she could be older. I don't know, you guys. Let's just say she's past 80. So she's listening to a podcast, and that's why I wanted to make this podcast for her, and thinking about, all right, what things in my world am I shying away from growing and expanding? And for you guys, what area are you shying away from and not growing? So maybe it's an area where you've been afraid to go. This is going to sound archaic, but I know there's some practices out there. Maybe you don't want to go to digital because paper seems so secure and it seems so safe. And, you know, what does the unknown hold? Maybe it's that you have been really anxious to add in implants, or maybe it's that you've been anxious to add in a partner. Or maybe it's that we don't want to delegate as an office manager because what if I'm no longer needed? Whatever area it is that we're afraid of, I want all of you guys right now to write down. I just did this exercise, believe it or not, for myself. And it was, what is my greatest fear? What am I afraid of? Or what area do I know right now off the top of my head that I'm not growing in, that if I were to grow there would advance me and would progress and help me be a better version of myself? I want you guys to write it down. And I want you then to create a plan of how are you going to achieve that? Because half of it is just knowing what we're afraid of, or the area that we know we need to go into. We just haven't mapped it out or put enough time and effort to figure out how to grow beyond where we are currently. I do believe that if we are constant learners, and if we're always thinking of ourselves as the forever student, not that we ever know it all, but how can we simplify? How can we expand? How can we perfect these systems? Well, guess what? that's how we continue to grow. So as I thought about my grandma, who, podcasting usually isn't a thing for people over the age of 80. That's usually not what they do. But I realized she was expanding her mind. And so shout out to you, Grandma, for doing that. And for the rest of us, how are you expanding your mind? What things are you doing on the daily? I hope you're listening to the podcast. I hope you're sharing them with friends. Can you go one step further? Today, I was listening to a really awesome conference and I am on fire. It was so cool. Just lit my heart and soul on fire. And something the guy said on there, he was talking, it was Ed Milet, and he said, I do one more thing. So if I say I'm going to work out for 10 minutes, I'm going to work out for one more minute longer. So I'll go 11 minutes. If I say I'm going to read a chapter, I'm going to read a chapter and an extra page. If I tell myself that I'm going to tell my family I love them 3 times, I'm going to go and tell them I love them 4 times. And he said he just adds one more. And as he said that, I thought about, obviously, atomic habits and how there's that 1% increase, and that 1% increase drastically makes a difference if we actually do it. So my question to you is, what area in your life do you want to progress, or should you progress? And can you do it and add one more notch to it? So maybe it's, hey, I'm going to delegate. What is one more area that you could delegate in? What if it's going to be that, hey, I'm going to increase my practice by this. Could you add 1 more %? Now we're in this interesting time in life. And you might think, Kiera, you're cuckoo. You're crazy over there. How can I do one more thing? Or how can I be progressing? And my answer to you is, you guys, it doesn't matter what life is going on around us. We should and can and must continue to progress and to grow. I thought about it and thought, Kiera, when I'm 85 years old, what legacy do I want to be leaving? Who do I want to be when I'm 85? And honestly, you guys, I'm turning 34 today. Happy birthday to me. Dang it. I lost the 33, you guys. 3 is my favorite number and I was double that. It was so fun. Now I'm 34. Wow, that feels incredible. So I think, okay, 34 going to 85, that's 51 years later in my life. And I thought about that and thought, who do I want to be and what legacy do I want to live? So I've got a lot of pieces in here, you guys. So first of all, number 1, what are we afraid of? Or what do we know we need to go to? And do you have a plan? I don't want a yes or no. What is your plan? That's a better question. What is your plan to achieve that? So you guys, today, I literally wrote down on a piece of paper, I said, my biggest fear is, what if my business fails? That's my biggest fear, you guys. If my business fails. My identity is clearly wrapped up in this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a big fear. And it was interesting. I was listening to this conference today and she said that it was Rachel Hollis. And she said, what if is a really incredible phrase. It can either be a limiting belief or it can be a growth belief. So what if I lose my job? What if my business fails? What if I don't make it to the next level? What if I don't have a business to go back to? What if my patients don't come back? What if my team doesn't want to come back? Okay, cool. Those are all limiting. Those are going to not take us where we want to go. Of course, we need to address them, yes. But what if we spin that and we're like, so what if I pivot my practice and I take on a different patient base? What if instead of working the 8 to 5 rat race I was doing, I figure out which insurance companies I could drop to make my practice more profitable and more fun for me to be working through? What if we were able to, instead of just doing dentistry, I have a huge passion for implants. What if we start marketing implants? And that's something we're going to incorporate heavily into the practice. Those are growth-minded what ifs. And what if can either be empowering and inspiring, or they can be negative and limiting. And so I thought about this of, what is your plan to grow and to accomplish that? So I said, okay, so what if my business fails? And I thought, well, we'd spin into another zone. I'd spin into another zone. So I thought, well, what is that zone? And I thought, well, we'd spin to online because we've been a traveling company. So how can we go online? And I literally mapped out an entire plan of what my plan is. What if my business fails? And I mapped out a whole plan of what I would do. And I literally wrote like 7 steps. I would do this and I would do this and I would do this. And then I said, what if my business flourishes? What would I do? And I mapped that out. You guys, I have a crystal clear plan that I need to go more in depth. I'm planning to do that tomorrow. Going more in depth to say, all right, let's get real specific on what this plan is and what are my actual action items to accomplish this and move on. So that way my greatest fear or the area I know I need to go into, I actually have a game plan of how to get there. And you guys, right now, even though this pandemic seems crazy to all of us, it does. I firmly believe that there's opportunity sitting there for you if you choose to see it. And I don't mean sleazy opportunity like, hey guys, come buy from me. I mean true opportunity to change your life in a way that you've never, ever, ever imagined. I truly believe that if you want it. Hello, Dental A Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, right now is the time to get your operations manual done. I just did a podcast, Operations Manual 2.0. Be sure to listen to that. And if you're like me, sometimes that task can feel daunting, which is why the coaching team, the Dental A Team coaching team, put together, you got it, Wednesday workshop for the next 4 weeks, starting on April 15th. We'll be running these at 12 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday workshop, where we're getting your operations manual done. We're taking you through step by step to ensure within 4 weeks, you actually get that operations manual done with accountability, with traction, and with ease. So be sure to join us. It's free for all. So there is no reason you shouldn't join us and get that operations manual done. Wednesday workshops every Wednesday starting on April 15th, running through May 6th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Pop on over to thedentalateam.com/strategy to join our webinar series. Can't wait to see you guys there on Workshop Wednesday. So write that plan out. So that was thing number one from my grandma. Grandma, this one's for you. Okay. So all of us face our fear. What's our greatest fear or area we want to go into, and create a very specific plan and look at that what if, and can you flip the what if into an empowering what if? So that's number one. Number two is, how are you progressing? So my grandma's listening to podcasts as an 85-year-old woman. That's incredible. How are you progressing? Are you getting a coach? Are you listening to groups? Are you part of empowering Facebook groups? Are you limiting the news or the negativity in your life? Who are your best friends around you, and are they taking you where you want to go? Let me give you guys a story about this. I have somebody in my life who recently had a pretty big tragedy. Their significant other passed away suddenly in the middle of the night, and I happened to be there. I don't know this person super well, and I've started watching her, and I've become more involved in her life since this took place. And I started looking and thinking, you know what? Before this, we weren't hanging out because the friends and the people that you were bringing into your life, I did not want to be a part of. And I started looking and thinking, Kiera, who in your life are people that are taking you where you want to go versus that are not taking you where you want to go? And this girl, the reason I bring her up is, I don't think I'm cool, guys. I think I'm a pretty awesome person. Yes, this is true. I'm not saying this to like boost my ego at all, though. What she told me, she said, Kiera, I don't know much about you, but I like how I feel when you're more in my life. This is somebody I don't really know. You guys, she just lost a significant other. It was a really traumatic experience. So I've been more involved in her life. And I started looking at the type of friends she has. Most of them don't really have jobs. They haven't really gotten college educations, which you don't have to have. I'm not saying you have to have that to be anybody. She just mentioned to me, she said, Kiera, I really like you in my life. So I was like, okay, fantastic. I have an opportunity to potentially give her some things that have helped grow me in my life in hopes that it would help her. So I gave her one of my favorite books, The Go-Giver. You guys have heard me. I actually sent that to a ton of my clients through this pandemic to help them have a mindset reset. I also gave her a journal. I'm really big on journaling. I also sent her over some of my favorite podcasts and things that really have inspired and changed me, because I realized, what areas in my life do I need to progress in? Maybe those things would help her as well. Maybe those would be things that could help change her trajectory if she wants to. I'm not saying the consequences in her life came due to the fact of her friends. None of that. There's no judgment. I think life just happens for all of us. It doesn't happen to us. It just happens for us. But I was thinking about her, and I was thinking, you know what? Who in my life is really propelling me forward? And are those people that are in my closest circle truly taking me where I want to go? This is not a question I enjoy asking myself, because it forces me to do deep work on myself. It forces me to look to see, all right, is my family taking me where I want to go? Are my friends, is my team, are the people in my close circle taking me where I want to go? And if they are, high five, keep them there. If they're not, we need to replace them. And I'm not saying like ditch all your friends, ditch all your family. I'm not saying that. I'm saying maybe you're just not as close to them. Now, 2 examples of that are in my own personal life. I remember there was a time where I was sky high. I was loving life. I was on fire. I was growing. I was evolving, and my husband was not. And I remember thinking I'm not going to divorce him, but I am going to make sure that I talk to other people about my business or things that are going to push me in the direction I want to go, because he's not. Fantastic news. A year and a half later, he now is on the personal development, let's go train, and we're growing together. Another example during that time was my mom. I love my mom. She's an incredible person. There was a point in my life where my mom wasn't going in the same direction I was. And I guard it so closely that when I'm progressing, that it is in my control of the people that are around me. And this is hard, you guys. It's sometimes hard to distance ourselves from family members. It's sometimes hard to do the things that we know we need to do to progress. But I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to do to progress? And what do you need to change right now? I want you to write it down. What's one thing you could do right now to change to help you progress? Maybe that's you need to listen to different podcasts. You need to get a coach. You need to change the things you listen to or read or consume. Maybe it's that you need to remove some people out of your friend zone. Maybe you need to have different influences in your really close, intimate circle. Like I said, these people don't have to leave your circle, just maybe not in your closest, intimate circle. And really do that deep work of assessing your life and saying, you guys, I hate doing this, but I love it at the same time, because it allows me to go where I truly want and know I truly am expecting to go. I've got high standards for myself. So if I've got high standards for myself, I've got to sometimes do the things that are uncomfortable and push me out of the zone to go where I really, truly want to go. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 is I want you to look at what legacy. So think about yourself at 85. Who do you want to be at 85? What life? You guys, honestly, I think about this and I think of my grandma and I think of the life she's lived and I think, who do I want to be when I'm that old? What legacy do I want to live and leave behind? What do I want to be known for? These are weird questions to think about. And happy birthday to me and my grandma and all the fun things. But at the same time, I also think moments like this, like your birthday or milestones or things like that, allow us to reflect. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today of let's reflect. Who do you want to be when you're 85? And are you on the path that's going to get you there? Yes or no? And if not, are you willing to change it? And if yes, are you willing to dig in a little bit more, do one more thing to get closer to that? I can tell you guys, I don't have a clear plan right now. I don't want to fool you. I don't know who I want to be when I'm 85. I'm thinking about this while I'm on the podcast with you guys. Who do I want to be? These are deep questions that I'm going to answer. I know that I want to have such a fulfilling, fun life. You guys, I love to have fun. I really do. I know I want to travel the world. I know my impact on the world is I want to be known as somebody who positively impacted the world for good. I know that. That is a legacy. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I think about this. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this. I think about my funeral. I don't know if you guys do this. It's a weird thought. Welcome to Kiera's Weird Thoughts today, you guys. I'm driving, surprise, surprise. And it's podcast time. And I was thinking about this and thinking, what do I want to be said at my funeral? And am I living that life that would make me proud? If it all ended tomorrow, what are they going to say about Kiera Dent? What kind of an impact in this world have I made? I've also thought, this is another really weird thought for you guys to think of. Let's say, you guys, whatever you believe, I don't necessarily believe in the reincarnation. You believe whatever. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. And honestly, we're all going to figure it out when we do pass on. We'll figure out what's really going to happen to us. But I thought about this one day and I thought, okay, so let's say reincarnation did happen and I came back to this earth. I thought, Kiera, have you done enough good in this world that when you come back, again, let's say this, or for future generations coming, have I changed the world in a way that's going to make this a better place for future generations? Or for myself, right? Whatever you believe, it's all these things. Am I doing that? And these are those deep questions, you guys. Yes, we get all caught up in dentistry and we talk about systems and we talk about how to make the practice better and we talk about delegation. And, I've done all the systems for this whole week. You guys have such a sweet lineup for this week. I'm so excited. So today, my question is, what kind of a legacy do you want to be living at 85, 95, 105? Tiffanie and I already have a plan. We're going to be 2 girls at the nursing home together, and we're going to be very able bodies, walking, very old. I'm going to have cotton candy pink hair. Tiff's going to have the blue cotton candy color, and we're going to have jazzies that are souped up with turbos. That is literally our plan, and we're going to be cruising around That's our plan for when we're older. Okay, that's like the fun piece. You guys, clearly I've got a fun element to me. But think about it. In all sincerity, are you living your best life? And if not, are you willing to make the changes today? I believe every single one of us can make the changes. So my question is, are you willing to do that? So Grandma, this one's for you. Wishing you the happiest birthday. Thanking you for being born, for sharing a birthday with me. It's been fun. You've called me your birthday sister since I was born, and that's always a fun thing. Thank you for helping us to reflect of 1, what's our fear? And let's create a plan for that. 2, are we progressing? And what do we need to do to progress to ensure we're getting the life we want? And also 3, what kind of a legacy are we living? Are we thinking about this? You guys, I remember I wrote a eulogy for myself one time. That was weird. It was really weird, but it helped me force myself to think, who do I actually want to be? And what kind of a legacy do I want to leave in this world? When you start thinking bigger, you start making action that takes you in a different way. When I start thinking those kind of thoughts, guess what? My actions change, my motive changes, my mood changes, my energy changes. I get excited thinking, hey, Kiera and you've got work to do. That's far bigger than anything you can imagine right now. Because if you want to be that person that positively impacts the world, that makes us better for generations after generations after generations, that you would be proud of if you ever came back and saw what you had left behind, you'd be so proud that that's what you helped create. Am I doing that now? So you guys figure out what you want. That's mine. It doesn't have to be yours. Whatever yours is, that's what it is. And I want to thank you guys for being a part of the Dental A Team. The Dental A Team, you guys, I have watched you all change and bless and serve and love people during this time. And I want to say, keep doing that, because the secret to living is giving. And that's what I want to be known for. Live to give, guys. All right, you guys, happy birthday to Tiffanie. Happy birthday to my grandma. Happy birthday to me. Yeah, I like birthdays. They're so fun. It's birthday month. It's not birthday week. So Grandma, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. You guys, thank you for listening. Take this to your team. Maybe have them think about it. It's crazy because when you start thinking bigger than ourselves in the day-to-day mundane, we start doing different. We start acting differently. We start being a better team. Morale will instantly improve. I promise you. I guarantee you it will, because we instantly change all of our thoughts. So you guys go out, think about it this weekend. That's why I'm so excited. Our birthday's on a Friday. We can release this. You can think about it this weekend. Take the time to actually write this down, digest it. Let me know how I can help you. If you want a friend to bounce ideas off of, or even where to get started. I had somebody call me the other day to brainstorm some ideas. I'm happy to do that. hello@thedentalateam.com. And you guys, thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team Podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.